Two and one. We are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Wolf. It's great to have you guys all here. I'm joined by Antoine Mystico, co-founder and CEO of GameStock. They're a platform building what is called, it's kind of a competition layer for financial markets through trading tournaments, social experiences. Antoine's got a pretty interesting, very unconventional, I guess you could say, entrepreneurship journey from playing professional sports in the Seattle Mariners with baseball to getting into the startup business, being in the music world as well. And so I think we've got a pretty good kind of understanding of the landscape we've got going on in the finance world, in the tech world. And so I'm excited to chat with you and see what all of these guys are building, actually. And so, Antoine, maybe if you could, for the audience who's hasn't heard of GameStock and isn't as aware of you guys, what are you guys up to? What is sort of like your core thesis around the company? And for the people who are here for the first time, what's the long-term vision?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, appreciate you for having me on. So GameStock, we're building a competition layer for the financial markets. So we really believe that people love to compete with each other. That's a great way for things to be social, et cetera. And so our company was very fortunate to raise $2 million in capital that we raised that was led by Peak 15. We were also able to get angels on our cap table. There were early investors in Robinhood and eToro and Alpaca and Grow. So some of really like the best present day fintech companies of this generation. And so for us, the thesis about what we're building is that we really truly believe that people want to have connected experiences. They just want to do it in a very different way. And so we've had the social platforms, they've done extremely well. And so now our focus is on the gaming layer. And so users come onto our platform, they can join tournaments that they can create themselves, or they can also join leagues and go head to head with friends. So it has a lot of the same elements of like fantasy sports, but we're focusing all on the financial markets.
What was there like an aha moment that you had where you saw like a certain idea, a certain type of thing where you're like, okay, we're going to go that direction. That's what we're going to do here. Or what kind of led to the idea here in the thesis?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I'm someone that, as you mentioned, came from a sports background. So played professional sports, then lost my job in the midst of the pandemic. And so post that, went back to school for finance and engineering. And ultimately, I think that, over the time, one of the ways that I've stayed connected with either friends that I met through sports or family members is through a lot of fantasy sports that we play together. And so whether it's us playing fantasy football and these different things, but I think the one thing that I've learned, at least over time, is that those are really fun things to do. But the reality is none of us are probably going to go be the GM for like the Las Vegas Raiders or the Dallas Cowboys. So the value of the knowledge that we gain from all the statistics of players, et cetera, isn't as meaningful if we could replicate that same exact model and then, put that into the financial markets. And so for us, we think that whether people are doing it with their friends and they're increasing the stakes, right? So some people are doing it for much larger stakes and other people are doing it as a way to like really learn in a way that's, I think, a better application of learning versus learning about something in a written way versus doing something in an actionable way. And so that was probably the aha moment for us.
What do you think, we've got all sorts of different sectors now, from prediction markets that have popped up and just different sectors, I guess. Like, Bitcoin was really big and then AI comes in. Quantum now is being tweeted by like the White House and people are kind of like, what is going on? Like, what is there to focus on? Well, I guess, like, how do you see the world shaping around competition layers for markets? I think there's an increased, we're seeing a huge increase in like the social and financial worlds collide. I think there were even ideas of Robinhood playing around with some social, some kind of social like feed kind of thing. And obviously X has a ton of that built in with the new tickers as well. So I feel like they're all mending together. But what does the world look like in like 5 years?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I wish I knew the full answer to that, but I think what I would say is, first, I think what we really start to see is the merge of both stock assets versus crypto assets. I think over time, those will continue to merge into just people owning assets. And so for us, we actually want to be one of those platforms that people can get an ability to interact with both. Now, that still exists on Robinhood. It still exists on Coinbase and those other platforms. But I think that our platform, it just kind of was already embedded from the very beginning. And so it's not as if that's an additional thing that we're adding for a certain small segment of our user base, but it's just what people naturally want to interact with. And so in 5 years, I think that's a great question. What I would say is, I think for, anyone that is Gen Z or Gen Alpha, et cetera, I think we are definitely very focused on, I think, interacting with applications that feel obviously more gamified, have some engagement layer that allows us to interact with either our friends socially or other ways. And so for us, we just wanted to focus less on a text-based social platform and more on something that was more focused on the competition layer. And then on top of that, we actually do have a content layer within our platform, but it's all around short form content. So we've been able to work with some of like, I'd say on the stock market side, some great creators like Acharan Invest, who does a ton of like short form content. And so typically you'll see a very curated, super selective, highly popular feed of all the best picks that people are talking about over the course of the last few days and weeks. And so it's like great alpha for people that just want to use that.
And I like that a lot. And I think that's honestly like what people want. I think, like I'm pretty curious on, we've seen like the various people talk about more and more younger people are starting to get interested in the investing side of things. There's people all over TikTok, like you're talking about the short form content, and people sharing their picks. They're like, hey, like I just found this idea. Like I remember the first time I heard of Palantir was some random TikToker. He was like some dude. He was like a philosophical TikTok creator, and he would basically just read the script. He would turn the camera to the side like this, and he would just read his scripts. And I remember I was like, God, this guy's like a genius. Then one day, like his video was like, I think Palantir is going to be the most valuable company in about 8 years from now. And this was like way long ago. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And that was one of the first stocks I ever bought. And so I think there's a ton of examples like this. But do you think the next generation of investors is probably just going to be discovering the markets through social experiences like this rather than, I'm not sure what the traditional brokerage way would have been prior, other than just like, hey, I need to make more money. What do people do to make money? Oh, they invest. Do you think it's going to be more of this, kind of how I just described with TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're seeing it like, the creator economy is continually growing. And I think what's most important, especially kind of to the things you were mentioning, Kate, is I think the differentiator between a TikTok and a Twitter is that on TikTok, you don't have to, but in most cases, you're putting your face in front of the camera and then you're telling a story. Whereas on Twitter, sometimes you can still kind of exist behind, a random image that you generated as your profile picture.
Yeah.
And I think you can create more meaningful relationships with your end user or the audience. And I think because of that, you actually build more trust with them. And so when they say, hey, I think Palantir is going to be the next best company, and they're putting their face right on the video, then you probably have a higher likelihood of actually going and making that trade or taking on that position. And so for us, we really want to lean into that. And so all of the stuff that's on our platform is all about real experiences with real humans. And so we think that actually helps people gain more conviction, get that alpha, especially because some of it's younger demographics, some of it's older. And so, people can kind of get alpha in ways that they otherwise would have to search for hours and hours and hours. And we just kind of consolidate that and make it easy for them.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Do you think, well, I guess I'm kind of curious. You've got an interesting perspective. You've jumped across various, I guess you could call them markets. But you went from the sports world to the music world. You're in the finance world now, building startups and stuff like that as well. I'm kind of curious on what you found to be the hardest challenge. Has it been building a fintech company? Has it what has the experience, I guess, been on your side of things? I mean, there's a lot of people in our world who start off investing or trading. They partner with some people, they build their own course, they build their own group, and they start to get into the entrepreneurship route. A lot of them build their own products and stuff like that based on what they've looked at in the market that they want. What has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, well, I'm very thankful that my previous company as well was a consumer-based application, and we've always been an engineering-heavy team, and so we've always built all of our products in-house, and that's kind of what we would call our technical capabilities is being able to build consumer applications more than anything, and so it takes a ton of research. It's ever evolving. Like there's never going to be a day where something doesn't go wrong or somebody doesn't request some feature that you think may or may not be important, and so for us, just given the background that we've had and having been able to already operate in a consumer-based business before, we think that kind of has been what's helpful for us in terms of as we're going out and trying to execute and make sure that all of the users that come onto our platform not only love the product, but want to share it with their friends and want to continually grow with us as a community.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure how long so you've been what was the the time span from so you graduate, you're graduating high school, college age, early 20s. What does the timeline look like for you as an entrepreneur? Like break up that that timeline a little bit for me.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. So I went to school for 2 years before I was drafted and then signed to play professional baseball. So that was in 2019. And then in 2020, the pandemic happened. So in March of 2020, they told every single person, go back home. We're not having spring training anymore. The NBA just canceled and we're probably going to cancel our season. And then in May of 2020, it was over for me. And so post that, went back to school and started my first company in around November of 2021. So it was a pretty quick journey for me. So
Okay, wow.
yeah, early 20s, but had done previous like entrepreneurial things before that as well. And then again, that first company that I built was a consumer application built all around transportation. And so this is a completely new sector in the sense that it's, fintech and gaming. But a lot of the things that we layered into our consumer app are the same things we're layering into this consumer app. So there's a lot of, I would say there's a rhyme and a reason to everything that we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's really cool. Have you, I'm sure like people in your circles and you go to dinners and stuff like that, AI comes up a lot. We're starting to see AI become integrated with all sorts of different trading and investing things. We're seeing conversations popping up of like, hey, like which jobs are actually important here? Which jobs are about to be cooked here? Which we've seen tons of jobs, tons of layoffs happening. What are your thoughts generally on AI being integrated? Do you see the AI agents taking over? Do you see people sort of just going hands off and letting the AI agents trade against each other? What is your thesis, I guess, on how AI works in with trading?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it probably depends on a multitude of different factors. I think, more and more on the institutional side for sure, right? Because you're just not going to be able to execute trades at the level as technical, as fast as these agents will be able to over time. And so I would expect that probably over time they're just going to have better returns by just allowing the agents to kind of go and complete a lot of these things, as long as they're getting the right ingested data and then leveraging that data correctly. But I don't know. I always come back to this point of, I'm from originally, my home is from Arizona, and that was kind of the first place that Waymo was deployed. And, there's a lot of speculation around whether they're safer or not. The data shows that they're safer, but it's kind of one of those things that there's a lot of people that say, I just want to be able to be in control and I want to drive. And so I don't know if trading is similar. It may or may not be. I think for some people, they may say, you know what, I don't care if I get better or worse returns. I just enjoy doing this. And this is something I want to do in the same way that they enjoy driving. And so maybe there's a world in which we live in where a large percentage of your, net worth is allocated towards agents just kind of making the trades on your behalf. And then maybe there's a smaller percentage of your portfolio that you use kind of as your way to kind of keep your brain moving and staying sharp and just always kind of thinking and ideally hopefully proving yourself right. So
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. How have you guys been able to use it into like, are you able to incorporate it all on your business side of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, so we definitely do. I mean, we're a very early stage company, and we think that the reason why we've been able to ship and move so fast is because we definitely do leverage AI. It doesn't do everything for us, but it's
Sure.
definitely powerful. And I think any team that's not using it is definitely at a disadvantage. And so we definitely have. It's probably helped the team. Our team probably, I'd say, if not 3 or 4x better than what we would have been without AI for sure.
1,000%. Yeah, even on the content side at Wolf, we've probably been able to at least 10x our output. At least from my end, I've been able
Yeah.
to at least 10x my side. I'm sure across our ecosystem, it's been similar. You're just able to do so much more. It's just a lot faster for very specific things. It's able to do them very quickly. And so, depending on what your process is for work, there are some sectors it like vastly outperforms. Where I'm like, dude, this is such a ridiculous net positive. It's almost a joke. And then there are other areas where it's not that helpful, and a lot of people's jobs seem to be pretty safe. So I'm curious. You guys have some stuff coming up in 20. A lot of stuff coming up in 2026, I'm sure. In the short term, though, tournaments. What should people know about getting involved? Because we got a lot of stock traders on our platform. We got a lot of stock investors who are getting involved. We've got tons of crypto people as well. Futures traders. We've kind of got like a sampling of basically everyone across our ecosystem with Bitcoin. But across the Wolf ecosystem in general, literally every single possible investor and trader available. For those people, what should they be looking for?
Yeah, I think what they should be looking for is to see more and more of their favorite creators starting to spin up these tournaments and then being able to participate and engage with their creators as well. One of the things that we've really leaned into is a lot of the creators that we work with, whether it's a Char and Invest, Stock Dads, to name a few, obviously Wolf Financial now and many others. The biggest thing that we've learned from them is that they want to be able to engage with their community in a much deeper and more meaningful way. And what better way to do it than to be able to like spin up a tournament, you determine what the different durations are for it. So you can determine if it's a 1-day tournament, if it's a 2-week tournament, a 1-month tournament, or even it could be as short as a 5-minute tournament. We could spin one up right now and say, whoever's in the chat, join it. Top player wins $100, right? And so we get the ability to have that optionality. And I think it just continually helps you kind of build your community and differentiate yourself. And so for us, we just want to continue to support creators who want to continue to create meaningful relationships with their audience. And ideally, we can help impact that and help them, bring more value to their community.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, I just saw Bob Menery. I remember the first time I ever saw Bob Menery. It must have been during COVID, like when his voice blew up, right? For his commentary and like how he would it was honestly like peak social media. God, it was just so crazy, like that time to be alive. But yeah, I remember he blew up, and I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, Bob is he's a funny guy for sure. We've gotten a chance to work with him, and even
Awesome.
his audience. That's another thing for us is we definitely want to support creators that are within the finance niche, but we also want to help bring other people and on ramp them, whether this is their first time touching a financial product, ideally in a way that's more seamless, or just kind of be there to support them on their financial journey.
Absolutely. No, this is really cool. I love this, and that I just brought up that post with on the social media. So I think that's awesome. I think we're seeing a ton of that. Like that's I mean, it's a huge ROI. Like the industry. Like if you're trying to be a participant, if you're trying to be like an influencer type, or if you're trying to build in this world, like there really isn't a better time to be alive with the type of expansion that's possible with social media. If you really know what you're doing, like you can do some serious damage here. If you're looking to make an impact, this is probably the right place to be. Like I can't think of another industry people would want to be in than ours. It's just very fast paced, a lot of stuff going on, and tons to learn, hopefully. And so, I was curious. I wasn't sure if there's anything that we hadn't hit on yet. And it's one that's kind of, I guess, on your side of the world that you think is important for our people to know about. But would love to kind of pass you the mic for that. Just if there's anything that I've left off.
Yeah, Kit, I'd say, we really try and create a platform that any single person can gain some type of edge or value from. So whether it's you joining the tournaments, some we have that are completely free to play, and there's cash prizes that you can win, which is a great way to get started, or some are pay to play, and there's these large outcomes where you can turn $20 into 200 or 100 into 1,000 and things like that. We always have ways for people to raise the stakes. And then on top of that, we have this league functionality where you can create leagues with your friends. You guys get to go head to head against each other. You can even play side bets against each other, which is pretty cool. So if me and you, Cade, were in a league together and we were playing against each other tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to see our portfolios until the market opens, but I could send you a $5 bet or a $3 bet, and either you accept it or decline it.
Yeah.
And then once the matchup starts, we would be competing for that, as well as the overall standings. And then lastly, I think one of the things that we started to see more and more people really, really love is this video feed that we recently added. So we pushed that out probably about 2 weeks ago. It's highly curated. It's a very small segment of total videos that we put on our video feed, but they're very, very popular videos that typically have done really well over the past few days. And so it's a great alpha. So,
Nice.
Whether it was like the Wendy's thing that just went viral and obviously went through Wall Street Bets, like a lot of our users already had access to that and saw videos around that before it even happened. And so that's really cool to see stuff like that play out, because now they can use that to, go and make the trades on it and then ideally make money.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think there's a ton of stuff here to follow along for. Look, for those who are watching right now, if there's anything that we've talked about that is of interest, highly recommend you guys give them a follow. I tagged them right above our faces. You can just click the GameStock handle, give them a follow. If you have any questions, also just shoot them a DM or just drop a comment down below the stream as well. And get your questions answered. But definitely worth checking out, signing up, and downloading their app. Getting involved. I think this is literally just a start for these things. We're seeing tons of competitions going down. Wolf is putting on an event sometime at the end of the summer as well for the trading. And so I honestly think this is going to keep expanding. I can't imagine a world where Robinhood and companies like Public and these brokers and stuff just stop putting on these events and stop being like leading these charges as well. And you guys putting on events like these leading companies they're not going to just like do less, I guess is how I've thought about it. They're going to keep doing more, because it's like game theory. I guess it's kind of how I think about it. It just is going to happen. This is very cool. You guys are in a great spot, doing an amazing thing. And so, Antoine, thank you so much for coming on, man. I hope people who are watching, give them a follow. Antoine, I'm not sure what you have coming up in the next couple of days, but definitely keep your DMs open if anyone has any questions. And I appreciate you for coming on. If there's any last thoughts, I'll pass the mic back over to you. But I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the time, Kate. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like you said, we're here to support. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to. We also have a code Wolf10 that if you
Let's go.
sign up and use referral code Wolf10, you'll get $10 in credits on sign up. And so that's a great way to get started too and kind of get free to play money.
Beautiful. Wolf 10. You guys heard it here first. Let's get it. And for those who are watching, we'll be back on Spaces. What's today? Thursday. So we'll be back on tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern with the trading crew. We've got a 3 p.m. Eastern show with the macro squad. So a lot of